Hello, my name is Eduardo and today I am here with a new tutorial for App Inventor. And well, in this video, as you read, today we are going to make a spaceship game or a game in App Inventor I hope, in less than 1 hour. So this is going to be a long tutorial, but we're going to make a game. So the game is this. So we have here a spaceship and we need to collect the balls. So we have a score, we have a timer, and we have to be careful with the edges of the screen because if not we can die. Every time we pick a ball, we get a point. And we also have 2 seconds more. Well, if you crash, you receive a message that touches the screen to play and you see the last score. So we're going to make this thing in App Inventor. So let's start. The first thing that we need to do is, you need to do this. You can download the starting project. So we're going to go here. I'm going to go to my projects. I will share with you this file that is the starter. It has the ship, it has the ball, and it has all the things that you need to create your app. So, we have here a canvas. We have a sprite, that is this spaceship. We have the bad guy, that is the ball. And we have we have some clocks. For example, the first one is random move ball clock. This clock is going to move the ball randomly across the screen. Then we have the rotate ship. It will help us to rotate the ship and to guide the ship through the ball, to the ball. Then we have the disappear clock. Every time we pick a ball, it will disappear for a second and then it will appear again. And then we have the timer clock, so it's going to help us to have some time limit. So you have the values here, so you don't need to do anything here. So we are ready to go to the blocks. So the first thing that we need to do is to create some variables. We are going to create some variables. The first variable that we are going to create, it will be counter. So for the time, counter, and we're going to set this variable to 15. Then we are going to set a variable to start the game. Then it will be like is game running, and obviously at the beginning it will be like false because the game is not like running. Then we are going to create another variable that is the ball here, and let's call it ball counter. So probably when the ball disappears, we have like a little counter for this, and we are going to set it to 0. And finally, we're going to add another variable that it will be, companion got disconnected, don't worry, rotation factor, and we are going to set it to 1. And also we need a variable for the score, to keep the score, and we're going to set this variable, in this case to 0. So we have the variables. Now when we start the screen, we need to create something. So we're going to add here screen initialize. And we are going to add here, we are going to change the size of this sprite. So for that we are going to create some procedures. So we are going to create some procedures in the game. Procedures is a set of instructions. So we are going to call this size. So we are going to resize the ship and probably to place it in the middle of the screen. Well, to do that, we are going to use here a math. We're going to use this one. We are going to use space canvas, and we're going to check the value for the width. Then we are going to take probably well, we want to modify the sprite width, so I call it good guy. So let's move this just a little bit. I'm going to keep this screen here, so I'm going to place it here. I'm going to do it like this. So we're going to multiply this value times 0.45. 0.45. So this is just to give it like the 45% of the screen. And then, no, but it's going to be very big. So 0.1, sorry. Then we are going to go for duplicate this value, and then we're going to say the height. Because this is a square, we just need to pick the previous value, okay? So in this case, the width of the ship or the good guy. And we are going to have a perfect square. So well, we have it in here. And now we need just to place the sprite. To do that, we duplicate this one. So don't move these ones. We are going to duplicate this here, the duplicate, and we are going to change this to X, and we are going to set it to 0.45, that it's in the middle of the screen in the X axis, and then we duplicate this one and we just change it to Y, and then we are going to set it to 0.5%. Almost like that. It's going to place everything in place. So we are going to reset the connection. Okay, we have this, and we are going to insert the procedure, call it size, and then we are going to just refresh the screen, and that's it. The ship is just like small, and that would be really cool. Also, we are going to add a message. I guess we are going to add a message. We're going to go here to Space Canvas, and then we're going to go to Draw Text, and we're going to insert this text in here. So we're going to add something like, I guess, like start game. So we go here to text, and then we are going to place it using these values. We are going to place it. For example, if you want the text message to be over here, it will be like the, let's change this to height. Probably this is okay, almost in the middle, and the height probably close to the 0.30, 0.3, that is the 30%. So then if we run the procedure, or we refresh the screen, but we don't have any message, so we are going to write touch screen to play. We refresh the screen, and we have a message over there. Touch the screen to play. So now we're ready to go for more blocks. So what about to move the ship? So if we want to move the ship, we are going to do it with a clock. So in this case, we're going to use the rotates ship clock, and we're going to insert it in here. So we're going to have it here. So just to have things a little bit organized. So what are we going to do is this. We are going to use the good guy or the ship, and I'm going to say not rotates. We are going to use the heading property, and we're going to increase this heading property. So we're going to set it here, and we're going to change this value, and we're going to increase it by 1, or in this case by the value that we have in rotation factor. So the current heading plus 1. So every time the clock is enabled. So obviously we are not seeing this because the clock is disabled. So, but we are going to activate this clock with another procedure. So to do that, we are going to create a procedure to start the game. So all the conditions that we want, we are going to set, or all the steps, we are going to have them in one procedure. So in this case, we are going to call it start game. And obviously it's a procedure, right? So the first thing that we need to do, it is to first, if we have this message, we want to erase this message from the canvas. We just look for this, and we have this thing that it says clear. So to remove any message in this from the screen. Now the next thing is we need to call again the same procedure size, because we want to resize the ship and place it in the middle, almost in the middle. So we're going to move the ship a little bit down, 0.6. Let me see if it's okay. Even more, 0.7. I guess that would be good. Yes, that's okay, that's better. Okay, well, we have this, and then when we start the game, we want the clocks to be enabled. For example, in this case, the timer. So the timer clock, that we are going to insert something in the timer, but first we are going to set this property here. So we want to set it to true, and then we are going to set the random clock, this guy that it's going to move randomly the ball. We want it to be enabled as well. So we set it to true, and then we're going to add the disappear clock. This is the one that it's going to be disappearing the ball and appearing in another place. We're going to set it to true to also. So we activated the clocks. Also the rotates ship clock, enable, and we set it to true. Then we are going to make the spaceship visible if it's not visible, because we are going to disappear the ball when we have the game over thing. So visible to true. Also for the ball, true. So we activate the clocks, the ship, the ball in the screen. It will appear, and now we need to move them in the screen. So to move them, we are going to modify their speed properties. For example, for this guy, for the ship, we're going to add a speed value, and we're going to set it to, let's say, 6. And for the ball, we're going to set its speed to probably 8, because this is the bad guy. It has to be faster than the hero. Okay, we have that one, and then we are going to check the variable that we created, that is the game running. So in this case, the variable, it will be now true. So we are going to change it from false to true. And obviously we are going to reset the score. So we look for the variable score, and we're going to set it to 0 again, because we're going to start a new game. And that's all for the start game procedure. Also, we are going to have another one that is to end the game. We're going to create another procedure, and we're going to call this procedure game over. Game over. So for this one, what is going to happen? Again, we're going to duplicate this one, space canvas, clear, because if we have any message on the screen, so we want to delete any message. Then we are going to, just to make sure that, set some messages, because it's game over, so we are going to appear some messages, some text messages in the canvas, and for that we are going to go here Excellent. So we call this, and the first message that we're going to appear, it's like something like called game over. So we're going to drag a text block here, and we're going to call it game over. And we're going to place this, we're going to use these ones to recycle these blocks. We duplicate this one and change this just to, for the Y to height. And probably we'd set it to 0.5. And the other one, it's okay. It's going to appear in the middle of the screen. So now we need another one, another text. We're going to duplicate this one. And this message, it will display your last score. So probably we're going to use here a join text, and we're going to set here your score, then space, that's it. And then we're going to take the variable or the value from the variable that is score, and it will display this. But we don't want to display this in the same position, so we want to display this probably more downwards. Okay, so in this case here, so we're going to put it 0.55, that is 55% of the canvas, and then we are going to disable everything. So we want to disable, it's like the opposite of the start game procedure. Now, for example, you can set this one, duplicate, and we are going to disable all the clocks. So false, the timer, we are going to duplicate this one, and we are going to change just the name to rotate. We want to change this to random, and finally to the last clock, that is disappear ball. So all of them are false. And also we want to what? To change the speed to 0 for the good guy, duplicate, and for the ball we change their speeds to 0, and also we make them invisible. So we use this one, duplicate, good guy, duplicate. So we are going to make these things invisible. So visible to false, visible to false. And then, because the game is not running in this moment, we are going to set the variable that we created for is the game running. We are going to set this to false because the game is not running. And also we are going to display another text. So in this case we are going to duplicate any of these ones, and we're going to set here, and we want to duplicate something like touch the screen to play. Touch screen to play. And we remove the join, and we just need this value, and we are going to place this probably in the upper part, 0.3. It will be okay because this is 0.45, so 45% of the height of the screen, 55, and the last one is just 3, so it will be like here, the message. Okay, so well, we have everything ready. Let's call it like 0.35 better. So with this thing we are going to off the game. Okay, so this is when the game goes to game over. So we are going to clear the canvas, write this text, and disable all of these things, and disappear the sprite and the ball. Now we need to go for the funny part, that is to start moving things. So what about if we start like moving the ball? So for that thing we are going to go for random move ball clock, and we are going to add here a condition if, and we are going to check the counter. We are going to have a counter for the ball, remember? So we are going to change, for example, the ball is moving in one direction, and every seconds we want the ball to change its heading or its direction. So it will change to this, and then it will change to this, and it will change randomly to a random value. That is the idea. So we are going to check first if the ball counter. So we are going to go here and we are going to get a property for the ball counter. And we are going to check if this value, if the ball counter, it is equals to 35. So that will be. So we are going to set the ball counter. Set the ball counter equals to 0. This is to start again. And then to move this ball, we are going to set the heading is the direction where the ball is going to face or move. So we are going to change its heading. And we're going to change it for a random value. So we're going to use math. And we're going to use a random integer from 1 to 360 because its heading is like rotation. So that's it. And we can also write here 0. Okay. Now else, if this value is not 35, else, what happens if this value is not 35? Well, if this value is not 35, we're going to set the global counter. We're going to increase, if the value is different from 35, imagine that it's 2 or 3 or 0, it's going to increase this value. So it's going to increase this value plus 1. So we use his. So we're going to use ball counter plus 1, and it will be like changing this thing, this value, until we get to 35, and then it's going to change its direction. Okay, so I guess that's more or less. Then we're going to test it to see if this is correct, don't worry. And then we are going to go for more. We have moved this every time. Let's see. Yes. Now, how to start the game? Well, to start the game, we are going to use when we touch the screen. Okay, we're going to insert a very simple procedure. Well, the canvas, not the screen. And we're going to look for touch. And we're going to drag this thing here, touch. And with a condition, very simple condition, we're going to start the game if the game is not started. And we are going to use here this. We are going to check if is game running equals to false. If the game is in false state, we are going to start the game, the procedure that we created. We are going to call all of these procedure, the start game, all of this procedure, and we are going to change this to the game is running now. Yes, true. We are going to change its value, and with that thing we can start the game. So we are going to just refresh the screen, and then we are going to try. So if we do that, it's going to enable all the clocks in the game. So I'm going to touch it, and yes. So, well, we have the speed for the ship and the ball, but it's not changing direction. Okay. So, well, to change the direction, for example, we need to see, for example, what is happening with the ball. Well, the ball is like moving, the counter is running. So you can display here, for example, we need to check what value it has. It is 0. And the heading. So to change that, we are going to insert a value, or here we're going to duplicate this one. And it's changing like that. Also, we can set this here. When we need to check some values that what is happening in the screen, you can do this. You can use the screen and then you look for here the title, for example, the title of the screen, and you can see what is happening in the screen. For example, here I can write here this, and I'm going to check what is happening with the global counter, and it will change the screen name to this. It's 0, it's not moving. Also, I can change this to other variables that we have in here. For example, the rotation factor, we can check the rotation factor. It's 1. Global ball counter, it has to be like that. Okay, so it says if the global counter is equals to 35, so to 0. Okay, so the ball counter is not equal to 35, so it has to be like what? Modified, be modified. So we can change this thing to this. Let me check if with this one we have different values, but the ball counter is not working there. Let's call this if the ball counter. So we're going to change this. If the ball counter is less than 35, we want to increase the value, okay, of this thing, and we are going to insert the text in here. And then we are going to else set ball counter. Then if the ball counter is less than 35 or is smaller, so set global counter. This global counter, this is a mistake, sorry guys. It's global ball counter plus 1, and now it's increasing. So, but it's going to change the direction every 35 seconds. So we want to change the direction every 30 seconds. So, and we are going to reset this thing. Let's do this one. And global ball counter. That's why it's not good to rename these things to the same. Okay, so we're going to set it to 0. And every time that we change this, okay, we get to this, we're going to change its direction. And now we're going to refresh the screen. We touch. It's changing its direction. But we need to give it like, I guess. And it's changing its direction, yeah. So let's call it to, probably to change it to every 2 seconds. It is much better, probably 1. And now it's just moving here, up, down, up, down, up, down. Well, we need to change that, and we are going to use something here that it's the bad guy. We're going to go in here, and we're going to change. What about when we have the edge reach, or we have a property here that it's, let's go for the ball, enable, heading, interval, radius, bounds. We're going to use bounds. So we are going to detect if the ball is it is touching an edge. We want this thing to bounce, and we are going to go, yes, sorry, we get the edge and we insert it there. Any edge that we just use, okay, and it looks more, it looks random now. So that's it, and it's changing every 1 second. It's changing to a random direction or heading. and that's it, it's moving. Sorry. Now if you check, we didn't remove this thing, the touch screen, so we need to check the start game procedure. Probably is not removing this. Touch game. Well, this is the way that we have this ball moving like randomly. We can change this value to, for example, check, it's getting 1 and then again 1 and changing. Okay, we are going to refresh the screen. We touch. Okay. Probably we need to give some time to this. And now it's removing this. So we have this kind of random movement. That's good. So well, every time this thing is happening, so well, we have the edge. And now we need to move the ship. Oh well, the ship is moving automatically with the speed, but we need to change its heading. Well, to change its heading, we are going to go for what happened when we just here go to the canvas and touch down. When we touch down the screen, we want to rotate the ship. Okay, so well, to do that we're going to say here, okay, I know the ship shouldn't be like spinning, so in that case we are going to disable the rotate ship, okay, in the start game procedure, because it's not necessary for this ship to be rotating. So rotate ship we're going to disable from the start game. Now we're going to go here and we're going to add in the canvas the touchdown event. So we're going to enable, when we touch down the screen, we are going to enable this clock, that is the rotate ship. And we're going to set it to true. So when we touch the canvas, and now it will activate this clock. So the clock is not here, rotate ship, yes, it's here. So when we touch this thing, it will rotate the ship. So let's refresh companion. We touch, we remove. I am touching and check. It is like changing the rotation by 1, 1, 1, 1. We can change the factor of rotation to 5 probably. We touch and it's faster, right? We can change this to 10 to see what happens and check, it's faster, the rotation thing. Now when we touch down, we activate the clock to rotate the ship. What if we touch up, we stop this clock, touch up, and we're going to set the rotation clock duplicate to false. So check here, and that's it. I touch, so I keep pressing, and then I just stop pressing, and that's it. Now I want to rotate this thing. If we press this side of the canvas, I want to rotate to this side, and if I press this side, I want to rotate the ship to the other side. So to do that, we are going to insert an if condition here in the touchdown if, and we are going to check if the X value where I touch, it is like less or smaller than, I guess we can use some of this, duplicate. So it's less than the 50% of the screen. So we are going to change the rotation factor, set the rotation factor, and we're going to change the set rotation factor at the beginning, rotation factor to 0. Change this variable, sorry guys. And we're going to change the rotation factor. We're going to set this value to 10, probably 10. Let's see what happens when we touch, sorry, this is not the one, to 10. 10. So when we touch here, this size of the canvas, it's rotating to this part. If I touch this part, well, in this case it's happening because we don't have any other value. So for that, we are going to add an else in the condition. Else, the same value, negative, minus 10. So we are going to see what's happening now. Here, I am rotating here. And if I press the other side of the canvas, it's rotating to the other part, to the other side. Check, boom. So in this case, right side is clockwise rotation and the other side is the opposite. So we just touch up or stop holding and stops rotating. So with that thing we can try to change for the ball. Well, we're almost done with that. Now what happened with the what happened when we touch the screen with the ship? Well, the ship will crash and we will call the game over. So we go here, and if the edge is reached by the ship, we are going to call game over. And we have this message: touch the screen to play, game over, your score is 0. Okay, but also we need to check more things. For example, we need the score to increase the score every time what? Well, to increase the score is when we have a collision. Okay, when we have a collision, there are many things that are going to happen. For example, the ship, the ball, it will disappear. And also we are going to get a score, or we are going to add one point to our score. And also for the counter of the game, we are going to increase this value +1 or +2, okay, to give some seconds, okay, for the player to have more time. So because we have a limit, so well, let's do that. In this case, the first thing is, I guess the score is the easiest thing. So we are going to set every time we have a collision with whom? Well, if we have a collision with the ship, okay, if collide with, and we are going to compare this value. We are going to check if we are colliding with ball. Okay, so that's the idea. If we are colliding with ball, we are going to set, okay, the score, the current score +1. We are going to set this to score +1. So if we have 2 +1 is 3. If we have 3, +1. And also we are going to give some extra seconds to the counter. So we have the global counter, don't get confused like me, and we just duplicate this one. So the current counter +2. That's it. So that it's going to happen when we have this collision. Okay, when we have the collision with the ship. Also, we want to disappear the ball. So we want to disappear the ball. So we're going to set visible. We can add it here. let's have at the beginning ball to false, so it's not visible for a second. We are going to place the ball in a different place, so obviously we want to appear somewhere in here. So to do that, we are going to use again another percentage operation, and for the bad guy we are going to set bad guy. That also I can add this thing here. No, well, yes, here X, and then we can create a procedure just for the ball. Okay, when the balls collides, I guess that's better to have it more organized, and we're going to call it ball collides. What happened with ball collides? Well, and also we can add these ones. So well, what happened? Well, we are going to change this to false. We are going to change the position, and the position we're going to use these values. Okay, so based on the canvas width and height times, and we're going to use the percentage probably, but we're going to use a random value. So random integer, and of course we need to divide this value by 100 to make it like decimal. Okay, and we're going to use 100, and probably the value has to be from 20 to 90% of the canvas. That's it. This is for the X, and for the Y, for the new ball that it's going to appear, we're going to use something similar based on the height, and I guess that will be like fine. Then we are going to increase the score, obviously. Also, we want to change to a random color the ball, right? So for that, we are going to use bad guy paint color. So we are going to change the ball to a random color, and we're going to go here to colors. We are going to use this make color, and we have 255, that it's the bigger value that we can have. We are going to use again random, and we're going to insert this random here, and we're going to insert this from 1 to 255. Then we duplicate this one, 255, and duplicate this one, and we just have this. Okay, and we're going to have a random ball. Also, we want to change the size of the ball to a new ball. So we're going to choose radius, and we're going to set the radius to a random value. We're going to use this one, and a random value from I guess from 5 to 15, and that's it. That will be okay. So also we are going to disable, because okay, we're going to disable the disappear ball clock. Remember the disappear ball clock? I guess we have something here for the disappear ball clock. Oh, we haven't had anything. Okay, that's good. Well, this clock is going to help us to again activate this this ball. Okay, so we go for disappear ball clock. Yes, it's not here, and we are going to add it in here. So for the disappear ball, we are going to enable this clock that is going to run for some seconds, and then it will randomly appear this. So we are going to add in this disappear. Before we finish this procedure, we are going to complete this, and we are going to set okay, we are going to change disappear ball clock, probably Let's say that we want this thing to enable. So the ball is going to disappear when it collides. And when it collides, we are going to have this clock that is the disappear. Just to explain this part because if not it's confusing. Disappear, it is set to 100. So in 1.5 seconds, it will run and it will appear the ball again. Okay, so well, to run that, it will make the ball visible. This guy, it will make the ball visible. It will set it to true. True. And also, it will, in this case, it will disable itself. So we go here, disappear clock, it will disable itself. So it's going to be like false here, and that's it. Now, remember that we have this collide. I guess that we are good. So edge reach, collide with, a good guy. So now this procedure, I guess it's almost complete. We need to set it this. We are going to duplicate this. When we collide, we are going to activate this clock, the disappear ball. And now we need to call the procedure that we just created, that is ball collides. If we collide with the ball, and we are going to run all of these things, and I guess that's all. So let's see if we have a collision with the ball. Come on, ball. Yes, the ball disappears and appears another random ball. Obviously, we don't see the score yet because we need to. Okay, let's see if another random ball appears in the screen. We crash and we have the score that is, it was 3. And I guess we are almost done with this thing. So we need to create the timer now. We need to see the timer. I'm going to write here this one. Sorry for the mess, guys. So we can see this. We can have this procedure here. The ball collides. And then we need a timer. So for the timer, we're going to go here, timer clock. What's going to happen with this timer? Well, we are going to probably, I don't know, I guess the text, it has to be a little bit bigger, but you can change this here in general. So you can change the font size to 22. And that's it. We have touchscreen to play. Well, then we correct things. So, well, in the timer, we are going to add another condition. We're going to check if the timer it is in 0 or not. So for that, we're going to use counter. If the counter it is more or bigger than or equals I guess if it's bigger than 0, so that we have time. Well, we are going to do this. We are going to clear the previous text that we have. Then we are going to check, we are going to set the counter -1 because we are going to remove the counter. Remember that we start with 15 or something. So we look for this variable, the global counter. We are going to set the global counter, the current value -1 because we have probably 15, 14, 13, -1. That's it. And then we're going to draw the text. Draw the text for time left. And probably one for the current score. So to do that, we can go here. Let me check if we have one text. Yes, we are going to duplicate this text, or we can go just to canvas and take this block. We're going to set the first one that we need is something that it says time left. So we're going to go for join text. Then we're going to drag here text. We're going to write time left space. And then we're going to set to the current value that we have in the global counter, and we're going to place this in the upper part. So for that, we're going to use a lower value, 0.1, that is the 10% of the screen, and it's going to display the time left. Also, we need another text that is displaying the current score. To do that, we duplicate this, and we're going to call this score space, and we're going to check for the score, and we're going to place this probably in the lower part. So we're going to use here in the high higher value, 0.85 probably. That would be fine. And what happens if we have some something that is, in this case, I mean, if we are checking that this thing is bigger than 0, if we get to 0, what is going to happen? Well, if we get to this value, we're going to call the game over procedure. So we're going to use else. What happens if this is equals to 0? So if this is 0, we're going to call game over, and we're going to reset this value, the counter, to 0. To 15. That is the initial value. So let's see what it's going to happen. Let's refresh everything. I don't know if it's like refresh. Okay, let's see. Yes, it's refresh. Okay, ball. Come here. Come on. We have one. We have the remaining time. If we pick the ball, we have some seconds more. Yes, we have some bonus. Yes, bonus. Oh, it's getting... No. And I have that. Okay, and I have my previous score. You can have like a debase, tiny debase, just to keep the scores. And I guess we have time. I guess we took more than 1 hour. Okay, touch the screen to play. You have your score. It's quite... Oh. Ah, no. So small. Ooh. Come on, be kind. And we can change also the speed of the ball to make it, to give it some, I don't know, variety. So we have different colors. Oh, I have my score like 4. And well, that's the way that we can do it, okay? Well, let's see what happens if you want to keep your score. I don't know, maybe we can do it something like that if we have time, I don't know. So we can use TinyDB, CloudDB. Non-visible starting the connection using ready software. This allows the user, I haven't used this one. But we want to have it in TinyDB. It can be just in the web. You can have your score for that. Or TinyDB that is inside your phone. So probably I'm going to keep it with TinyDB. No, TinyDB now. Let's use the one that is in the phone, just for the current phone. So TinyDB or the database, and we're going to use to see if we can keep this score. So we're going to store value tag. We're going to have a tag, yes. So, and we're going to use every time that we start the game, right? So we're going to look for this initialize. When we initialize the screen, well, we want to retrieve a value or get a value. So, and we're going to create a new variable, probably, that it's going to be called high score. High score. and we're going to set this value initially to 0, and when we start the game, I didn't change the name, high score, yes, high score, we're going to set it to 0, and when we start the game we want to set the high score to this. Look in the tinydb and the tag. If we don't have any tag, we're going to set the value to 0, and the tag will be high score, no, my high score, let's call it my score. This will be the value. If we don't have anything, well, we have that. And probably we're going to need a text to display the high score. And probably here in the size, we're going to insert this value. I don't know where, duplicate. And we're going to call the text to join. This is just extra. I haven't planned this, but I guess it will be a nice idea. High score. And we will set this to this new variable that it's a high score, and we're going to place it probably in the upper part. Oh, it's like 10%, sorry, 0.1, 10%, no, 0.1, sorry, and we are going to place the high score over there. And I guess, let me check, let me refresh. High score. We need a space. Well, in this case, let's use it like this. That's it. We refresh the screen. And then when we finish the game, when we have this game over, we are going to store this value. Okay, but to store the value, let's create just a procedure. Say high score. So we are going to just save the value if this is bigger than the one that we have, right? If the current score, so that it's called this one, let's use this. I don't know if it's going to work. So if this value, the current score, it is bigger than the value that we have, the high score that we have saved. Okay, so then we are going to call the tinydb, and we are going to store the value in the same tag, which is the tag that we created, that it's my score. Okay, we're going to call this my score. It has to be written the same way, right? So my score, yes, my score, capital S. So my score, and we're going to set this value to store. Well, it will be like the global score. That's it. We're going to use this. We're going to set. So just in this case, if not, well, we're going to just keep the same value. Okay. So we're going to save it. Also, we are going to set this value. I don't know if it's going to work. Also, we need to display this, right? As I told you. So the high score is in there. So we are going to duplicate this one, and we are going to set it while the game is running, where we have all of this in the counter. So the counter, it will display also this. So we look for the clock call. We look for the clock call counter. Sorry, because I was covering my mouth. Timer here. So we're going to use here this one. That's it. And we're going to call game over also. In the game over, duplicate. I guess it has to be there because we need to see this thing. Let me check if we have it over there. Space canvas, your score. And I guess I'm going to have it here. I don't know if it's gonna work. I add the high score text here in the game over also. Okay, and also Say high score, it's it there. Okay, I guess it's okay. We need to call this procedure now. Where? Well, we're going to call this procedure after we finish the game or when we have the game over thing running, no? So we're going to use here procedure, we're going to check, and we're going to use save high score. We're going to insert it in the game over. And I guess it's quite finished. I don't know if it's gonna work, right? To be honest. So we start the game. Oh, high score, it's like overlapping there. So we need to move high score a little bit. High score, where are you? So high score is running here. It's because the time left is in this one. Let's call the time left 0.20. One. I have one. Let's try to pick one. I have score of 1, that it's the highest score. And now why? The time. So it's not saving the score, the high score, because it's not running, but it's running in this save high score that it says that is if get global score, it's bigger than global high score. Let's see which is high score. 0, it's 0. Global score, it's 1. In this case it's true. So store value tag in my score. But we need to load this this value every time we so we are saving this. Okay, we store the value my score because it's meeting the condition. So if the global score is bigger than the high score, we are going to save this in this tag. Okay, so we're going to insert this value, that is the global score that we have, and then we are going to run this thing when we start the game. So when we start the game, we are going to go to the TinyDB and we're going to get the value, and we're going to set it in this text. So let me just arrange these things, because if not, it's looking uglier. So we're going to move this, we're going to give some space here, and we're going to get close. Okay, so when we start the game again, we're going to go for this one, duplicate. So we are going to get the global high score again. Set global high score to, for the tag, my score. Value, if it is not there, 0. Value, if tag not there, let's call it to 0. Anyway, my name is Eduardo, and I will see you. I'm gonna play it on the phone. I guess it's better.